Hey there, my name is Brashler, and in this video, I'm wanting to expand my monitor mixing series just a little bit more and give you guys some more tips and tricks. In this video specifically, I want to talk about duplicating the vocal channels for sending one dedicated channel to the in-ear mix of your vocalist, and then one for the rest of the band. Now, if you're brand new to my channel, I'm all about helping you feel more confident with your production gear no matter where you're starting from. Also, if you're looking for some more tips and tricks, head over to my newsletter over at audiotoolkit.co, where you can sign up for free and get some of my favorite tips and tricks directly into your inbox. But let's actually dive in and see about this duplicating a monitor channel. So with a vocal, when I'm mixing monitors, I'm wanting to mix the lead vocalist that is singing at that time louder to the rest of the musicians. But I'm also wanting to create an album sounding vocal for their in-ear mixes. But to do that, I need to do a lot of compression and some EQ and some different things like that to that channel to make it sound good for the rest of the band. So for instance, I'm putting in the 1176 on this vocal channel with some 12:1 compression to really give it that really good in-your-face polished sound for sending to the rest of my band. But if I ended up putting a 12:1 compressor on the vocalist's in-ear mix for his microphone singing into that mic, what's going to end up happening is instead of them holding that microphone nice and close and getting a full signal into that mic, they will end up taking that mic and putting it farther and farther away from them to get to the sound of their voice right around that threshold point that you set on that really heavy compressor so that they can hear themselves in their ears when they're getting loud. Because that vocalist needs to have their in-ears louder than their head voice in their ears so they can actually hear what they're singing. Otherwise, it's just going to sound weird in their head. So when you overcompress a vocal mic that's going to their personal in-ear mix, then what's going to happen is they're going to take that microphone farther and farther away from themselves, which then you're going to have to push that vocal more and more in the front of house mix, and then that's going to end up feeding back eventually. Or if you're a monitor engineer and you're mixing on wedges, those wedges are going to feed back the farther that they get this farther away from their mouth, and the more that you have to turn it up in the monitor wedge. So in this case, this is why I create a dedicated monitors channel for my vocalist and then a dedicated channel for the actual band. So in this case, I have my vocal 1 here, and this is going to be for my band. And then what I'll do is I'll go to a separate layer where I just have some empty channels here, and I will make another channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my routing and I'm going to unlock and pull up where I have my vocal 1 coming from. So there is my vocal 1. So now what I've done is I've duplicated my channel. So I have vocal 1 coming right here into this channel. We can see I have all my processing. And then if I go here, this is my other channel that I am doing individual processing for just for that vocalist. So, and now I can process some dedicated EQ just for this vocalist. So I'll go to my EQ, I'll add in some low cut, bring that to about 100, and let's go ahead and get rid of some of the occlusion that would be happening in their mix. So dial it in about right there and get this a little bit wider. Right about there, and then there's a little bit of a boost here. And so here is a dedicated EQ that I'm just roughing in real fast for this vocalist to get above the occlusion, and I have another video on occlusion that you should check out. The link is down in the description below. But this way, this is a dedicated EQ and compression is going to be next for this vocalist. So now what I can do is I can just rough in a very mild amount of compression. So like 3:1, let's put the attack to about 20, hold down, and then the release around 90 milliseconds. And then we can dial in this compressor so that it's very lightly touching if that vocalist wants compression. Oftentimes, if they are a professional musician, they might not want compression in their in-ear mix for their vocal. And if that's the case, then do not apply compression. But adding a little bit of compression is okay. But again, do something like 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 and very lightly touch the gain reduction. But now what I need to do is I want to send this individual channel to my vocalist's in-ear mix, and then the rest of the band gets this processed vocal. Now, the other thing that I do is I go into this channel and I rename it so that there is an M and a dash before. And so once I do that, then we can see M-vocal 1, and here is my vocal 1. And then I would just do the same thing for the rest of the vocals. And this gives me an isolated input for those vocalists to have their settings that they want, but then the band gets that really nice polished vocal sound. Now, this is also a great way of isolating your monitor channels if you are mixing front of house. So say you're mixing front of house and you have all of these channels and you want to have some really aggressive EQ, but maybe the musician shouldn't have that really aggressive EQ. I'm thinking of some guitarists that have some really bad tone. What you can do is you can also duplicate these monitor channels and send these channels to, say, the P16s or the P24s or their in-ear mix, and have those be dedicated individual channels for the monitors. That way, when you're mixing front of house, all of this stuff and all this processing that you're doing is completely isolated to the PA and your mix. And that way, the musicians won't be able to hear maybe some of the really aggressive EQ or really aggressive compression that you're doing. So that's one other way of making it easier for you as a front house engineer to have the mix that you want, but then give the musicians that really flat, natural mix that they want. Now, I hope this video was helpful for you today. If you do happen to have any questions, or there's a video that you're hoping that I would make on some monitor mixing, please post that in the comment section down below, as I'm always reading through those comments to find videos that are going to be helpful for you. If you haven't already, make sure to check out my website at drewbrashler.com. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.